I called Donald and I mentioned that. And he said, your son doesn't recognize you. Let him die and move to Florida. Now, I don't know how you can explain that.
Jesus Christ, man. No shot. He said that. Personally, I am shocked Trump would say something so distasteful. Yeah, I mean, he's usually so eloquent and compassionate with his speech, you know? He's not a family man. He's not a Christian. He cynically uses every single one of these groups. My mom requested that I watch this, so we're going to watch it. Damn it.
Although most of the Trump family usually puts out a united front behind Donald Trump, another member of that family is now publicly breaking ranks. Fred Trump III, the son of Trump's older brother, Fred Trump Jr., and brother of frequent critic Mary Trump, has now come out in support of Kamala Harris. The endorsement comes as Fred Trump releases a new memoir, which has the title, Support of Kamala Harris. The endorsement comes as Fred Trump releases a new memoir, which has the title, All in the Family, The Trumps and How We Got This Way. In the book, Fred takes readers behind the scenes of the family dynamic that he says.
Dude, pictures from the 80s and the 70s with like old men with the big glasses. Dude, why did those get out of style? Those are some bumping style of shades. Or not shades, just glasses, all right? They might make you look like a computer nerd, but in like a cool way, okay?
Help create the former president. And Fred joins us now here on set. Good to see you. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Let's just start simply with this. Why now? Why speak out now?
There are two reasons, and we haven't started now. My wife Lisa and I have been advocating for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our young son, William, has complex disabilities. We've been doing so through the legislative and through the executive branch. We have met during Donald's term with cabinet secretaries and a meeting that culminated in May of 2020 in the Oval Office. So we haven't just started. We waited for the book. We wanted to wait for William to become settled in a new home environment. He doesn't live with us now. He lives in a
doing pretty good. Just looking at some news, getting into the swing of streaming again.
Group home. We wanted him to be settled. But we've been thinking about this for a while.
And tell us more about what Donald Trump has said about your son.
Donald has never met William, ever. In fact, no one in the Trump family other than two of my cousins have met William. So when he said what he did to me, when a fund that had been set up for William's health, for his therapeutic needs, and I just want to clear something up. The reason a fund existed is because Donald orchestrated a plan to take my sister and me out of my grandfather's inheritance, which went back days after William was released after 7 weeks in hospital. Al, you'll remember that in the city. You have to understand that Donald was my trustee. He was my trustee, which meant he was supposed to protect me and my family. He did the exact opposite. So the fund was my money, but I had to ask for it back, which was troubling. So when the fund was running low, I called Donald and I mentioned that. And he said, your son doesn't recognize you. Let him die and move to Florida. Now, I don't know how you can explain that.
Jesus Christ, man. No shot. He said that.
And he said, your son doesn't recognize you. Let him die and move to Florida. Now, I don't know how you can explain that away, the cruelty of that comment. But as you
hold on, I wanna read. Do they have like the exact quote? Trump, some disabled. Let's just see if that pops up. Let's look at Forbes, because I don't think that they are. Well, they are paywalled, but I get 4 free articles. Though Fred noted that his uncle appeared engaged during the meeting, he went on to say that the then president remarked to him after it had finished that maybe those kinds of people should just die, bearing in mind the shape they're in and all the expenses. Jesus Christ, man. Uncle Don, my son who has massive disabilities, his medical bills are stacking up, and his fund is almost, completely run dry. And you have access to all of my money from the will that you drafted. So you're in charge of this. Can I please have money so that my son doesn't die? Let him die. Jesus Christ, man. Jesus.
Read in All in the Family, he had said something very similar in our last Oval
He did it twice, one about a group that visited the White House.
Office meeting with a group of advocates.
Personally, I am shocked Trump would say something so distasteful. Yeah, I mean, he's usually so eloquent and compassionate with his speech,
He had called me back into the office when everyone dispersed and said, those people, all those expenses, they should just die. So it's hard to wrap your head around that.
We should note Donald Trump disputes this account. He said that in a statement, I helped him so much, more than anyone else in his life, and this is the thanks I get. Eric Trump, the president's son, took to Twitter X last night saying...
I forgot about Eric Trump. That guy hasn't been making the rounds that I know of. I only hear about Don Jr.
It's disappointing that after decades of unwavering love, support, golf memberships, et cetera, that you have decided to cash in his words, less than 100 days. So talk to us about this family dynamic now and respond to what they're saying.
That sounds like a man who's forced a mistress to have an abortion. Has anybody come out and said that that's happened? I feel like that must have happened at some point.
The dynamic started when I was...
Or they have an NDA and they're not allowed to.
Was very young when I was able to grasp it. And understand that I am one of the only people that knew Donald in his formative years, through his business career, and during his presidency and after. So I know Donald as well as anybody. My father, his older brother, Freddie, wanted nothing to do with the family business. But my grandfather, who was very tough, wanted him to. My father wanted to be an airline pilot and wound up being an airline pilot in the early 60s. That was quite a feat.
Trump doesn't care about disabled people? No.
Right after
Oh, yeah.
a couple of good paragraphs, it's talking about northern New Jersey, draws the prober's eye, written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This was 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
The clips, they just keep on coming, don't they?
But Donald,
Over and over and over.
who was given the path by my father to do what he wanted to do, to run the family business, just demeaned my father for no reason other than his need to feel superior to other people. And that led to issues with my dad, unfortunately. People will say this is like the Succession television show. And I say, no, it really isn't. In Succession, there were 3 siblings that wanted to take over the father's business. My dad wanted no part of it. My dad wanted to be an airline pilot and became that. Again, he gave Donald the path, but Donald crushed him.
Fred, I want to go back to what you were saying about your son and Donald Trump's reaction, because one of the things that strikes me, and as you know, I've known Donald Trump for a while, pro and con relationships, is that the insensitivity that I might have marched on him about in terms of Central Park 5 or something else is one thing, but to be insensitive to his own nephew's condition, and it shows how he feels about people that have situations like what you and your wife are dealing with your son, that he really has no insensitivity toward people that are suffering or find themselves in a different situation, which is scary if you're going to make him president of the United States. Talk about just his lack of humanity and sensitivity.
Well, I was listening to the segment before with Senator Kelly in the immigration policy and how Donald and the new Republicans, the Republican Party, which is not the Republican Party I remember, just everybody is a rapist, everybody is a criminal. The way I answer that question is the caregivers that take care of my son William are from many of those same countries. They care for him every single day of his life. So Donald does not respect people that he deems lesser than him.
Fred, it also is interesting.
This shouldn't be shocking whatsoever. And to be clear, I don't think that there's literally anything Donald Trump could do, literally ever. This is something that I almost referenced at the beginning of stream, but like, there's a very edgy thought experiment that I've been using in different Discords and, on Twitter and shit like that. And Trump said that he could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and he wouldn't lose support. And I think it's actually worse than that. I genuinely think that Donald Trump could on Fox and Friends, live on air, have non-consensual intercourse for, just monetization reasons, non-consensual intercourse with like a toddler. It could be their own toddler. And these crazy people would still vote for him. And you know what? The amount of times where they just avoid saying no speaks volumes. Like the amount of times that they just like skip past the hypothetical. That is pure cope? No, it's not. I don't think that there is anything in some of like the extreme MAGA people's heads. I don't think there's a single thing that could ever sway them away from supporting Donald Trump, because they've already sold out every shred of like moral argument in terms of like the moral character of their candidates, right? Family value conservatives, Christian conservatives. There's almost not a single thing that Donald Trump is genuinely. It's like he's the worst part of America. Every worst aspect of American culture, like distilled into one person as a caricature of what it means to be a billionaire. Yeah, I'm referencing it right now. I'm not going to be using it in the future, but like, again, for the amount of times that they've had to sell out their morals to defend a guy that they voted for and are supporting, it's like the sunk cost fallacy. People are like, well, I mean, he's done that, and that's not that bad. So like he could do this, and like I don't like necessarily agree with it, but like he's our guy, right? And then it just like keeps on going from there and there. He's not a family man. He's not a Christian. He cynically uses every single one of these groups and their morals, depending on who he's talking to, cynically. And even like the way he's saying it is so cynical. So I don't understand how people who are like hardcore, Christians and hardcore, any of these different groups that he tries to appeal to, right? He doesn't embody any of these morals that they hold him up to be having. And I don't feel like there's anybody on the left that could possibly fit that same description. All right, catch you later, Mom. All right, guys, Mom's out of the room. Now I can be edgy as hell. No, but RFK? No, people hate RFK on the left. Like the broad, from like center left to like a lot of radicals even hate him.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
So anyone you don't like is on the left? Yeah, exactly. I hate all left-leaning people. Yeah, no, it's just so strange to me. It's so strange to me. Like, it would be so much less strange to me if it was begrudging support. Like Sieg and Nair, right? I don't know if you guys are actually voting for Trump or not. I hope you're not, because you guys are much smarter than that, okay? But I totally lost my train of thought because I scrolled up to see if they were still in chat. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, if you guys were voting for Trump, if any of the conservatives in my chat were voting for Trump, like I wouldn't necessarily be as weirded out by it. I would vote for Trump over Kamala if I'm to be honest. I just don't. I don't get that. Like, given everything. But it's like you guys are like, if you did vote for Trump, it's like begrudging because of like policy issues. But it's not begrudging. It's not they're actively, enthusiastically supporting this guy and then holding him up for being like the best American and, you know, a good Christian, or, you know, give me a good candidate for me to vote for, then I think Kamala is, I mean, like, unless you're going to do like they have to earn my vote type thing, like, you got to vote for who holds your values more and who is going to be better for the country. I feel bad for conservatives like Sieg and Socks, because they're you guys are intelligent, and I've seen that you guys are intelligent, and I can't get like too mad at you guys for like the conservative things that you guys say, because you guys just like have disagreements with me, and that's fine. But like for the people that are like die hard, yes, we need Trump. It is almost always die hard support, and it is almost always, like, to be honest, right now what I've been seeing the most of is just like vindictive. It's just vindictive.
Well, welcome. For people that are new, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Kick, I'm Sondsol. I am a political science student. I like to talk about politics. I like to argue about politics. We talk about all sorts of fun things on here, like drama and politics. And I like to argue with people in chat about a lot of different things. Like, comment, and subscribe. I don't like to shill. Also,